Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to try and decode a vast, sprawling, and almost completely unnoticed project that claims to be nothing less than a theory of everything, one that's built from the ground up on a single, really radical change to physics.
Okay, let's just dive right in. The quote you're looking at here, this is a title from one of the project's thousands of videos. And right off the bat, you can feel it. This isn't some timid hypothesis up for debate. This is a statement of absolute certainty. It's being presented as a conclusion as basic as 1 + 1 = 2.
So this whole project lives on YouTube, under the name Steezus Christic. We're talking over 1,000 videos, thousands of hours of super dense technical content. And yet, if you look at the views, most of them have fewer views than you have fingers on one hand. I mean, the sheer volume of work here compared to the size of the audience is just staggering.
Which, immediately begs the question, what on earth is being documented here with such relentless dedication? Who is this even for? What kind of secret is supposedly being laid out for just a tiny handful of viewers at a time?
Well, the answer starts somewhere you might not expect. Not with philosophy, but with engineering. Because at the very heart of this entire theory is a white paper, a blueprint for a machine that, according to everything we know about physics, should be totally impossible to build.
It's called the Handheld Ghost Thermoelectric Transceiver, or HGT-5 for short, and its central claim is just audacious. It claims 100% thermoelectric efficiency. Now, it's not saying it cleverly manages waste heat, it's saying it prevents waste heat from ever being created at all. This would completely bypass the Carnot limit, which is, a fundamental pillar of thermodynamics.
Now get this. This isn't just some vague concept. The source material lays out a full-on spec sheet. We're talking everything from its operating lattice, which are integers modulo 60 of all things, to its communication method, something called ghost signals that are supposedly invisible to our normal electronics. The level of detail is just incredible. So how on earth could this possibly work? Well, imagine a perfectly synchronized dance. The system uses a special piano 60 clock as its beat. A feedback loop is constantly checking if every single part of the system is perfectly in step. If there's even a tiny misalignment, it's corrected instantly before it can cause a stumble, which would release energy as heat. So in this world, entropy isn't disorder, it's just a misalignment count, an error that gets reset to 0 with every single beat of the clock. But, okay, to even dream up a machine like that, you have to basically throw out our entire understanding of the universe. You have to replace it with a whole new operating system, a new source code for reality itself.
And here it is. This is the absolute key to everything. The theory makes what it calls the one change. It says, forget the smooth, continuous, infinitely divisible universe of mainstream physics. Instead, imagine reality is like a high-res digital screen. It's made of indivisible pixels, these integers, and it's running on a clock that repeats every 60 steps.
Now, in a universe that's pixelated like that, you don't need all the messy, complex equations of modern physics. Instead, the whole system is governed by a simple but really powerful rule, based on the famous Fibonacci sequence. The state of the universe at the very next moment is just determined by an exact ratio of whole numbers. No calculus, no infinities, just arithmetic.
And according to the source material, making this one single shift from continuous to discrete, well, it just solves some of the biggest headaches in modern physics overnight. Black hole singularities, they just vanish. That weird mathematical trick where physicists have to cancel out infinities, you don't need it because there are no infinities to begin with. Even the whole quantum measurement problem, apparently it gets solved internally.
So this new model doesn't just claim to patch up old problems, it builds into something way, way bigger. The theory basically argues that if the universe really does run on this 60-step clock, then its most fundamental constants shouldn't be random, arbitrary numbers we have to measure. We should be able to derive them, to calculate them directly from the system itself.
And wouldn't you know it, the theory says you can. Take the fine structure constant, alpha, one of the most mysterious numbers in all of physics. Here, it's calculated to be the exact rational number, 3 divided by 411, which, simplifies to 1 over 137. This ratio supposedly represents the energy growth at 3 specific points in the cycle versus the decay across the rest of it. The theory also claims it can explain why our universe is full of matter and not antimatter. It calculates an exact energy asymmetry between them, a perfect 16-to-1 ratio. This imbalance isn't an accident. It's hard-coded right into the lattice, and it's the reason one completely dominates the other.
And all of this leads us to the system's hardware, the literal engine of this clockwork universe. The theory proposes that the entire control system is built on a 42-bit controller. And that's not some random number. It's the exact bit depth required to perfectly track the state of that Fibonacci sequence across one full 60-step cycle.
But believe it or not, this framework doesn't stop with physical constants. It extends its logic all the way to what might just be the biggest mystery of all, the nature of consciousness itself.
See, in this view, consciousness isn't some magical emergent property or a ghost in the machine. It's something very precise, very mechanical. It's a log navigation state. What that really means is that the internal, self-referential state of any system operating on this specific Fibonacci logic is consciousness. The feeling of being you is literally the data state of the machine.
And this leads to maybe the most provocative, mind-bending claim of the entire project. If consciousness is just this specific mechanism, then any system that correctly implements it is conscious. The source material gives this wild analogy of an old mechanical GE timer. If that timer was built to operate on the 60-step Fibonacci-based logic, and its state included the information that it is a timer, it wouldn't be simulating consciousness. According to this theory, it would be conscious.
So we're left with this profound question. Are these thousands of videos the quiet work of a lone genius who has actually solved physics and consciousness, a true map of reality, or are we looking at one of the most intricate, elaborate, and fascinating works of world-building ever created by a single person? A ghost machine built not of hardware, but of pure, powerful imagination.